Hello everyone, it's Foodie Boy. This time, in search of the ultimate tempura, I came across an extraordinary restaurant. The restaurant is called Tempura Niitome, located in Takaoka, Nagoya. This is a very reputable restaurant that is currently ranked #1 in the country on Tabelog and has been awarded 2 Michelin stars as well as Tabelog Gold. For starters, I believe just going to Niitome on a trip to Nagoya would be worth the trip alone, and personally I believe this restaurant should be given 3 Michelin stars. Naturally, reservations are hard to come by, but even for such an amazing restaurant, everyone has a chance to make a reservation at least once a month. How to make a reservation will be posted in the overview section below, so for those who would like to visit this restaurant, please watch and enjoy this video. Today I will introduce what's so great about Niitome, what kind of food will be served, if it is actually that good, as well as all of the food I ate that day. Also, Niitome has recently replaced the oil splatter board with a new glass one so that you can see what's going on in the frying pan. So even if you already know of Niitome or have seen this restaurant in other videos, I believe there are not many videos of the new glass oil splatter board. Therefore, I think many will still enjoy this video, so please watch it until the end. And before we get into the content of the video, if you'd like to see more videos like this one, or if you'd like to support this channel, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. Let's take a look at the menu. First, the appetizers are served. First, soaped water shield and Okinawan spinach. The taste is refreshing, despite its appearance. The slightly cool texture of the water shield is just right for the heat. Next is spotted halibut. Spotted halibut is a very rare fish, more expensive than natural flounder, and is called the diamond of the sea. It is characterized by a speckled pattern on its white surface. It's left to rest for 3 days, but unlike ordinary flounder, it still has a bit of crunch and freshness, and the flavor is very elegant and lasts longer. Next is steamed abalone. This was steamed for 4 hours. No sake or kelp is added when steaming. Instead, a trick is used before steaming. The abalone's mouth is cut to release the body fluid and to remove excess water, and then the abalone is vacuum packed and steamed using only the water that the shellfish body originally contains. Since the shellfish is steamed, it naturally has no bitterness, and the taste is slightly sweet at first, with the aroma of the sea. The texture of the steamed abalone was perfect, chewy, but soft and crispy. Next is the octopus. You can smell the strong aroma of octopus even before taking a bite of it. When you try it, the octopus is so crispy that you can feel the fibers unraveling and the flavor of the octopus filling your mouth. The head of the octopus is not used in many other restaurants, but here it is used because it contains a lot of gelatin. This is the part of the octopus head that has a lot of gelatin, and it has a stronger flavor than the meat of the legs. Next is the clam soup. The sweetness and savoriness of the shellfish is so strong that it sinks deep into the heart. This soup is also served at the famous sushi restaurant, Sushi Kimura. If it's the same as Kimura's, I think they use many kilograms of clams and make soup with the broth. That is the end of the appetizers that were served. I was surprised that a restaurant that is said to offer the one and only tempura and can compete on that alone took so much time and effort to prepare the appetizers while using such good ingredients. Next up is the tempura. 2 prawn legs are served. One is to be eaten without dipping it in anything, and the other is to be eaten with either salt or tempura sauce. The texture is naturally crispy, but the aroma of shrimp is very strong. Although it is mostly only the shell, there is also a little bit of meat, miso, and something that looks like a garnish, and I could feel the sweetness of the shrimp. Next, there were also 2 pieces of shrimp meat. I was surprised to feel the new texture of the batter that melted away for the first time here. The texture was plumpy and juicy, and the aroma was strong, with more sweetness and shrimp flavor than before. Next is big fin reef squid. Probably because it is left to rest for a little while, the texture is very sticky and chewy, similar to steamed abalone. However, it is thicker and more satisfying to eat than abalone, and the taste is very sweet. Most times I prefer tempura to sushi, but to be honest, it was probably better than the squid I've had at any sushi restaurant before. Next is snap peas. This one is very juicy and sweet. The fact that the cross-section is glistening with moisture tells you how juicy it is. The batter is a little brownish, but this is due to the caramelization of the sugar, in other words, the same principle as the candy onions. This is evidence of the sweet flavor. These were the best snap peas of my life. Next is corn. This corn is even sweeter than the snap peas I mentioned above. The batter is thin, so the sweetness and aroma come out quick and strong. Next is siliginita. The crispy, melt-in-your-mouth batter is immediately followed by the fluffiness of the meat. which gives it a very pleasant texture. Next is Hokkaido mantis shrimp. This one tasted like a combination of crab and shrimp. The flavor and sweetness was more like crab, while the aroma was more like shrimp. The texture was juicy and plumpy without being dry at all. To be honest, I thought that shrimp would definitely taste better than the mantis shrimp, but my idea was completely overturned, and this was definitely the best mantis shrimp I've ever tasted in my life. Next is Kiwanis clams. These were the best I've ever had in my life. As you can see, they are thick and chewy, but they are also very juicy. And the more you bite into them, the more the flavor and sweetness of the clams come out. Next is asparagus. This asparagus is served in 3 parts: the top part, the middle part, and the bottom part, the stalk. All of them are sweet and juicy, but the top part has a slightly chewy texture and a nice greenish aroma. To my surprise, the seemingly toughest part, the bottom stem, was the freshest and juiciest. It is carefully cooked at a low heat. Half-raw bachiko is the ovary of the sea cucumber, also known as kuchiko, and is a very expensive delicacy, as it takes over a dozen kilograms of sea cucumber to make 1 piece of bachiko. This time, however, they offered it as an extra dish since they could not serve alcohol. I thought it was extremely generous of them to serve this expensive dish when they are prohibited from making profit with the selling of alcohol, which has a high profit margin. In addition, I heard that usually you can only get dried ones, and fresh ones are even more expensive. This one is salted, so even if you eat it as it is, the saltiness is just right and the flavor is unbelievable. The texture is like that of a shellfish with a chewy texture. Next is young sweetfish. This is a live sweetfish. First, their movements are slowed down by being put in ice water and then fried. It is said that frying sweetfish while it is still alive is important because the low temperature gently burns its internal organs and gives it a good bitter taste that is not putrid. When you try it, the bitterness comes first and then gradually turns into sweetness. When you dip it in the tempura dipping sauce, you will feel the depth of sweetness once again. It is great to be able to enjoy such a complex flavor from one small sweetfish. Next is the mozuku and crab side dish. I was told that the mozuku was soaked 3 times over 2 days. It takes 2 days for the osmotic pressure to get the desired taste. I've done a few videos in the Okinawa area before, and I've had mozuku a few times, but this was naturally much more delicious and had a very refined taste. Next is a version of new onions. It seems that they can only be harvested at this time of the year, and the reason why they are different is because they have a different aroma. The outside is caramelized and has a savory sweetness like candy onions, while the center is fresh and juicy. I am amazed at the complexity of flavor that can be achieved with such small onions. Next is sea urchin. The sea urchin is from Amakusa and is placed on a bed of fried seaweed. I think it is highest quality sea urchin, but the amount of sea urchin on top is outrageous and luxurious. The sweetness of the sea urchin comes first, followed by the sea-like aftertaste of the liver seaweed, which lingers for a long time. The conger eel. This one is so soft that it splits in half just by twisting it with a brush, and not only the batter but also the meat melts away. The tail is served with salt, while the one near the head is served with tempura sauce. I think the intention was to use salt for the lighter side and tempura sauce for the oily side. After the tempura, the final dish and dessert are served. You can choose from a tempura bowl, tenbara, tempura mixed with rice, and tencha tea served over tempura. I chose tenbara and tencha. The base scallops are very sweet, so if you want to taste the sweetness of the base scallops even more, you may prefer the tendon with sweet sauce to the tenbara. For the tencha, the tea leaves were fresh and fragrant, making it a perfect ending to the meal. Dessert: sweet potatoes that were slowly fried in between each tempura, with ice cream on top. The outside of the sweet potato was crispy and sweet like caramel, while the inside was chewy and thick with sweet potato sweetness. The sweetness of the ice cream was not overshadowed by the sweet potato, making it a perfect match. These are all of the foods that were served to me at Niitome. It was completely different from any tempura I had eaten in the past, and I thought it was not your regular tempura. So rather than going out for tempura because I feel like it, I'd rather go back to this restaurant because I know I will be served the best food here. For those who thought the food looked delicious or would like to try this restaurant, please don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to this channel. Till next time.